Good. All right. Well, I'll break the ice here just to give you some time. Maybe the next webinar can be how to set up your webcam or something. Starting with some lighthearted jokes. Everybody, hi. Let's get it.
There we go. Got it.
There we go, my friend, with the LED panel, all the beauty inside. We love it.
There you go.
Okay, I see some familiar faces here. I see some names. Um, I guess Fur is the one who's going to be laying out the ground rules, but I'll just stay on the stage. Don't hesitate to turn on your cam. You can leave it off if you're not comfortable. We'll try to keep it mute during the presentation, but we're also going to leave some gaps for questions and stuff. So we're just going to give some time to everyone to get acquainted a little bit. And then I'm just going to introduce you to the plan of the day, let's say. We're going to do this in sections. In between sections, we can take a little pause, see if there's any things that require clarification. And other than that, we're just going to show you some cool stuff with some cool tools. And hopefully you can recreate some stuff on your own.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you very
Good?
much for showing up. We are pretty much putting this together last minute. Once we put the video up, I think last week, I got inundated with DMs saying, how did you do that? Which tool did you use? That was the question I got. Which tool did you use? And then I would turn around to Jason, like, Jason, I can't answer these questions. Which tool did you use? Like, which tool?
That is the
Wrong
wrong
question.
question.
Which tools did I use is the right question. So because of that, we're like, all right, you know what? We're getting a lot. I must have got at least 15 to 18 DMs. Michael got a bunch of DMs, and we don't have the answers. We're not the video guys. We pretend to be the AI experts for the video stuff, but Jason's the magic behind the scenes making us look good. So I asked Jason, hey, Jason, can we put together a webinar? Like, he's like, what? When? Like next week. We got 5 days. Let's go. Before all the level up rush is happening, let's throw something together very quickly. I don't care how it is. Let's just get something up there. So Jason decided to kind of work through it and showcase his expertise. So then, he kind of, I only saw what he built a few minutes before the webinar here. Like, hey, just what are you going to showcase? Because I had no idea what he was working on. So he's sent me a PDF, which we're going to be giving to everyone if you stay till the end. It's a really nice PDF he put together, breaking everything down, how he's doing it. So it's, I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. I'm going to learn as well, because just putting everyone right now, as we kind of say, I've said a few times, is AI is part of the strategy. It's not the strategy itself. AI is not your magic bullet. That's what people need to realize. Like, it's like, oh, now with AI, I'm going to make a lot of money. Like, that's not how it works. AI will augment you, make you better, make things faster for you, but AI is not the solution itself. It helps you part of the strategy. So part of the why we have the video, why we put it together, was we are working on the AI Unleash Intensive event, which Kara is one of the speakers at the event. Jason will be putting on a lot of magic before the event. That video was just honestly between Jason and I told Jason, hey, can you get together a teaser reel to announce the speakers?
You're not going to tell the history of this? Go
Quickly,
on.
they need upset. So I go, I need to do a quick teaser reel, and I want you to use AI to do it, make it look really cool. So I put together something in Canva, which he laughed at, and he says, no, we're not doing that. He's like, we're not doing that. I'm like, all right, cool. I kind of went out of my lane to pretend like I knew I was doing Canva. I really liked it, but he kind of killed it. So I dropped the idea. Then he was supposed to work on a bigger speaker reveal video. And this was supposed to be just a little side project that he created just to kind of keep us happy for a while until the better one came out. And forget it. He put this one out there. I'm like, I don't know how you're going to top this video. It was outstanding. I loved it. Kara, like you were my favorite character in this show, in the video, with the color of the hair color standing out, the
The
contrast.
highlight.
I think you were the highlight in the video itself. All the transitions are cool. You stood out perfectly because of the highlights in your hair. It was awesome. So with all that said, we're putting together a presentation. We're going to go through how he put together, what's the vision behind it. Because again, I'm trying to explain that you don't just go to, your video AI, okay, make me a cool video. There's a bit more work behind that. So he's going to break through the logic, the thought process, then the tools, how one tool complements another tool. You need to work through 2, 3, 4 different tools you build into it. So we're going to give you a bit of the strategy over here. And this is, again, we're putting something together really quickly just for this event. And I guess my house cleaning over here to let you guys know we have an AI intensive event. If you guys want to learn a lot more cooler stuff, more detailed, more hands-on, and this is just a teaser. We're going to be rolling out a bunch of things in the next couple of weeks, and we're experimenting with how many different tools right now, Jason? How many credit card charges are you hitting me up with right now? So
just visuals?
Oh, just visuals. That means we're hitting up every video tool.
I'd say 10
AI
on
tools,
image
10.
and video.
So we're trying out which ones make sense, and we're testing everything out right now. And with all that said, Jason, let's get into the show. Let's get into your thought process of how you put this video together. And because honestly, I don't know how your next video, you put the bar very high. The bar is very high.
Keep adding pressure. That helps.
More pressure. Bar is very high. So go ahead, Jason.
All right. Okay, let's start this. So Fer has set the stage pretty good. I want to riff off and echo a bit of what he said. So you did not join a mindset class, all right? You're gonna get the tools and the process, but we do have to think and talk about the thinking behind it. I want to just put some more time to go back to what Fer said. Like, AI is here, it's making stuff simpler and cooler, and then everybody thinks we can press a button and make some cool stuff. And it's like, if everything is awesome, nothing is awesome, right? So at the end of the day, you might have fun with Sora, where you can write a prompt and you get a fully perfect likeness, fully edited video. That's cool, but relying on that will kill creativity. So what we're going to look at today is how to actually think creatively, AI assisted, right? And then how can we use different tools to go and achieve a vision that wasn't possible before? And just to give a bit of background, I come from a filmmaking background. I studied cinematography before I started, doing video as business. So that's kind of my approach here. And I'm trying to give you like just some of the basic principles you need to like get into this the right way. And again, like we're going to see one specific process for one specific video, but the techniques you're going to learn, if you apply a little bit of creativity there, you're going to be able to create a lot of stuff. And that's just what I want to get out of the way fast. Like, it's not, hey, we have AI, so we'll have a really cool automation to make content for you. Like, you can find some cool N8N flows for this, but this is not it. This is how can we think creatively and then use AI as a content team to help us, right? We can now create some of the things that it used to take an entire production team and 50K of shoot day to get done. So let's take a look at how we can do that with a few assistants at $20 a month. Disclaimer, as first said, we do use a big tool stack. I used more tools than what I'm going to present to you. I've tried to simplify this as much as possible. I know it's not realistic for just, anyone to get like 5-6 tools in one go to create one video. So you're going to see like a simplified but achievable version of this. So let's dive in. So as we said, I'm just going to present this to you in sections. We're going to have a little pause in between sections for questions. You can raise your hand. I'm not going to be watching for, maybe you can take a look at that when we have some questions. But just to introduce you to the idea here, everybody's seeing the screen, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, cool. So the 3-phase process is the same process as any production, right? We have pre-production, production, and post-production. The only difference is in this context, the actual production is not going to be done with cameras, but it still needs to be done through the lens of a human, right? And that's really the core idea here. It's like, let's say, I'm not going to stop using my camera, but a lot of what we do will transition from either like designing or shooting to thinking creatively. So the role as someone who creates like content with AI to that level, you can kind of see it as a creative director. And you try to get a vision. Pre-production is where you lay out the vision until it's, it takes some form, some clarity that you can see yourself executing. Production is when you actually create the assets, the visuals, the images, the music, the audio that you're going to use. And then post-production is the assembly. So we're going to look at that in 3 phases. And then just going to do you a quick overview. The pre-production is actually the biggest phase. Now, you're not going to have to generate all of these images here. As I said, I'm going to simplify this a little bit for you, but just to lay down the full process here, I'm going to say this like this. As first said, like we put this up really quick, and it's trying to bring order to a very chaotic process. This was not a process that I had before I mapped out this video. So there's a sequence, a chronological order of things, but understand that there's a lot of back and forth. Sometimes even when I'm in the production stage, I need to go back into my pre-production phase to go and refine some assets. Now, my personal thinking about this, and every creator is different, but when I start a new project, I see like, you know, I have a creative energy tank, and that's limited, and that goes down as time goes. And again, do not be fooled in thinking that because it's AI, there's less work. There's just more possibilities, but I still spend the same amount of time creating and editing, right? Why am I saying this? Is because you're going to go on a lot of tangents. So you have a process, you have the prompts, and you're going to get some nice outputs, but sometimes like you just don't get what you were looking for. And it can be half an hour of adjusting your prompts, or it can be just clicking generate again. And sometimes the same prompt, you get a completely different result. But why am I saying this is that I try to get as fast as possible to the storyboard first, because that's what helps me bring a thought to like a full idea that I can see from the start to the end. And so if I gotta, you know, cut some corners to get to the storyboard faster, so I see that vision, it kind of recharges my creative energy tank, right? It reminds me of what it can be. And then if I go, I need to go and refine it, that's where I'll do it. So we're gonna see that in the process a little bit. There's a lot of back and forth, even when in production. The same way that I'm trying to get to the storyboard fast to get the thoughts out of my head, not lose these ideas. Well, once I start generating the assets, I want to bring them into the editing as fast as possible so I can see the video take form. And then when I'm not happy about a specific asset, I go back and refine it. So now that I have set the stage, just to list out the phases of pre-production here. The number one thing that you want to do, and I'm gonna go and present you the first tool we're gonna use for this. But I'm not here to tell you how to get ideas. I'm gonna give you an idea of how I got this one, but there's really an infinite source of ideas. So right now we own the platform Lovart, and this is the number one tool that we're gonna use for this. I just laid out here the pre-production process. And basically, I want you to look here as step 0, setting the stage. And so you see, let's say here, you see here all these pictures here. You're generating a lot of stuff, right? Like even as a photographer, when you go do a photo shoot, usually you get maybe 10 pictures out of this, but the photographer filters like 200 shots. The thing is, all those shots come in the same SD card. It's very easy to organize. But here, you're going to have 5 different tools, maybe on a different browser, and then you have an idea here, an idea there. Sometimes you generate this not good. You don't always download them, and it's very quick, very easy. You get lost. Sometimes you had one great image somewhere, and you don't know in which conversation it is, which tool. So for this, this is going to be a do as I say, not as I do, because I have done this to myself a lot. And so I'm preparing this for you. So you avoid the pain of needing to find your assets in a digital haystack, let's say. So this is a proposed folder structure. You refine this based on the project you're going to make, but ideally, those are based on the flow of the project, right? So the very first thing you need, if you're going to create content with any person in there, you need the reference images. We have them here. So load that up in a folder. And then everything else you see here is just the subsequent step of the transformation, right? And that's kind of what I was saying earlier. The difference between a creative video and just some AI slop is the transformation process. Little like alchemy, right? You pick a piece of lead here and there, and then at the end, well, magic, it turns into gold. But the lead has to be transformed in a lot of different stages. So introduction aside, this is where the process starts. The platform Lovart is a canvas-based AI design agent. Now, the keyword agent is really important here because this tool allows you to create a lot at the same time. If I open this up, you're going to see that we have a conversation here. Now, what's really cool and what helps with this workflow, especially when you have like multiple people or multiple assets to create, is that you can drop a big prompt and then multiple images and just tell it, run this for all of these images. And that's really good because it helps you like create a lot of variations fast, and it helps you test. Now, where this platform is lacking is in intricate details. Let's say like just the customization that you can have with the features that are available with some models. We're going to see this in another tool, but so different models for video and images as well, they have like different functions. For example, with Kling, one of the video models with Kling, you can use the start and end frame as reference. This is what we use for this type of video, but other models don't have the same features. Now, why am I saying this is because you actually don't have access to that interface here. Here, you can only rely on the design agent to understand what you're saying. And, you know, of course, better prompting can help with this, but there are going to be some misunderstandings sometimes. And you will see here, those are all the models that you have available. You can pre-select one or leave it to auto. If you leave it to auto, be careful because this generates video and there's VO in the mix. So I don't know if you've ever played with VO, but that costs like, you know, half the organs of your body every time you want to generate the video. So if you give directions to the agent here and you don't tell it like, hey, use this model, it's going to be like, okay. And then it's going to go and generate a bunch of VO videos. And then, you know, 10 generations later, your monthly subscription is already out of credits. So be careful of that. Now, disclaimer for this process, the entirety of the process, we're going to use Nano Banana. So I'm going to go and toggle this here because it did happen to me. I am speaking from experience here. You put a prompt real quick, you're testing stuff, you forget to mention, you know, the specification, and then, you know, it goes everywhere. But there's two more reasons why we want to use Nano Banana. First of all, with any LoveArt subscription, you do have access to Nano Banana Unlimited, which that is really a big plus because most models you need to pay credits per generation. But having that unlimited really allows to like test without, you know, without any discipline, let's say. Another reason why we use Nano Banana is because that is currently at least one of the, if not the best model for preserving likeness. So you might have tried, you know, with ChatGPT, with Gemini, and you get something that's pretty close, but it's not exactly there. And I'll say that with Nano Banana, unless, you know, it's yourself, it's really hard to tell when you get a good result when it's, you know, AI generated. Sometimes I've fooled myself, you know. So we're going to use Nano Banana for this. And now that I've introduced the tool a little bit, let's just start the pre-production now. So I'm actually going to go through the process as I show it to you. But just a disclaimer, as I said earlier, sometimes you don't really get the output you're looking for, despite having the right prompt, despite just having had the perfect output. Sometimes you're going to need half an hour to just reprompt for one single asset. Now, you know, we're on limited time here, so I'm not going to do that. If ever I don't get the right image right off the bat, I do have like the assets that I had already generated for the other video that we can use like as a backup just to go through the process. So when I have something good, if it's not perfect, I'm not going to spend half the hour refining it, but that's what you should do when you recreate this project, right? So setting the stage. As I said, I'm not here to tell you how to get ideas, but one way that you can is simply by associating a purpose with an angle, right? So with a style, for example. So in this case, it was easy because I knew I had a purpose to create a video that would present multiple people. I knew we had to do the speaker reveal. So then all I needed was to have like a cool vehicle to share that message. And let's say on Instagram, I follow a lot of creators that use these tools like Nano Banana. And so I'm always served with inspiration. And so one day I just scrolled and I saw, oops, sorry. What am I doing? Right there, this image, you know, Batman and Luffy and The Witcher and all that stuff just in cool ink style. And I was like, all right, this is it. Ink style speaker reveal. Sometimes you don't need more. If you want to do more thinking, that's fine. But, you know, especially if you've never made a video with these tools, anything that gets you a purpose to experiment is good because it's really when you go through this that you're going to have a clear idea of like, oh, I can do this as well. You know, so once you have your purpose, you have your style. You know, I added this just for yourself for clarity, create yourself a one sentence premise, but it's just like, it's to understand, you know, whenever you have to write prompts, you put that at the top to keep the context aligned. So here we just want to do a speaker reveal video. Basically, we're going to reveal different people with different faces using a visual style of ink artwork type stuff. So now that we have our premise, we have our folder prepared. I have it somewhere on the side. Yes. This is where we can actually start creating. So the first thing is really to start getting the reference images. So before you get on that project, ideally, you have your folder structure, you already loaded your reference images here. As you've seen in the speaker video, there were like 11 of them. We don't have 5 hours together, so I'm just gonna do that with 2 assets today. And going back to the process of transformation, that's really what it is. You add layers every time. So what I really need here, I need these guys with a stylistic, typography of their name next to them, both in a ink artwork setting. So technically, I could do this directly picture to style transfer. Style transfer is the term to apply a style to an existing asset. However, it might actually be longer to skip some steps because you don't get the refinement you're looking for. As I said, we're not here to refine today, but I'm at least going to give you the basics of what you need to get this stuff done right. So we can open the chat here. And as I said earlier, what's really cool is that you can just drop multiple images at once. So you can just drag them in, or you can do Command Enter if you're on the Mac, and then it's going to load. When I start playing with people, I like to start with a description prompt and include that in whatever prompt you have. It just helps retain the likeness better. And maybe that's not going to be relevant in 2 months at the rate at which the models are evolving. But right now, the more specific you are, basically, the more specificity you have, the closer you're going to get to your results. So I have here the human model description prompt. The only thing I'm going to do is paste this here. But now I wrote this prompt using a single image. So keep this in mind, don't just copy paste prompts, like read through them, modify them when necessary. In this case, we know we need to modify it because this is singular. So please analyze these images. And for each character, there you go, just an addendum here, provide a concise character description. So what it's going to do is going to give me the description of each of these guys. Again, not to waste time waiting for the generation. I already got those that I had done prior to this. And once you have the description just becomes a piece of the puzzle that you're going to paste in the prompt for photo shoot. So why am I doing this here is because, when you have someone's reference image, if you only have one reference image, you don't have a lot to work with. Now, if you're working with someone, you're doing something for yourself, you have a photo shoot of yourself and there's different angles, there's good lighting, you can't skip this step. This is fine. But the reason for this is to get variety, to get consistent lighting. Sometimes the reference image that you have, it might be low quality, it might have bad lighting, it might be a bad angle. So as much as possible, you still need like at least one good reference image, because if there's, nothing clear about the model's facial likeness, facial expressions, and just facial features, it can't invent it, right? But you got something that's decent, a good pose, like at least chest up, full body if possible, and then good lighting. You use this to develop a human model asset bank. It's a little dystopian term, but you can't call that just photo shoot variations. So basically what that is, and I'll be honest, again, this is part of, the prompts that I threw up fast when I was developing this. You might not need all of those. So this is in 3 parts. I'm just going to continue that in the same conversation, which is another benefit of this tool, by the way. You have context in the conversations as well, so it retains the context of the images you sent earlier. Now what we're going to do is take this prompt, the human model asset bank. You're going to see here there's a placeholder for model description. So what I'm going to do this. So for this one, you got to generate it one by one because you're adding the specific description of a model. Technically, you could like copy paste this prompt and have the different model descriptions, but it would become too bulky. The time where I actually generate multiple prompts at once is if I have multiple different images that I all want to transfer into one style. So we're going to see this later on. Now for this, I'm just going to do it one by one. So we're going to go back to the model description placeholder and paste that paragraph. And now I have made a mistake. What did I do wrong? Can anybody tell me? Any raised hands? No, Fur? You wanna take a try here? I'll just give the answer. I didn't specify which model, so now it's gonna create a beautiful human being that doesn't even exist. So now we're gonna go back and grab that prompt. Again, you can either refer to the image, but for clarity, I like to just re-add it in the context. That way there are no misunderstanding. And we're just gonna wait for this to run. And now I didn't copy the whole thing. I am sorry, my friends. You know, when you go too fast, you waste a lot of time. So here, what's gonna happen here is we let this run, and then we're gonna get a full photo shoot of our friend here. So this is in 3 parts. Realistically, if you're on rush and you don't want to wait like 10 minutes for this generation, just part 1 is enough. This is a standard turnaround, so you get all the different angles as if you just did like a 360 photo shoot with someone. But then in part 2, you just get like some more marketing assets, different contexts, different environments. That can be good for variation. I just have the habit of, oh, there we go. That's beautiful. As you can see, it's not always directly accurate. And what I'm gonna do now, I'm not actually gonna, yeah, okay, I'm gonna stop this. Sometimes it gets one asset wrong, but if it gets both assets wrong in a row, something's wrong, right?
He has a nice haircut.
Now I know the description was right, so you know sometimes that's just what it does. Like I don't know, I can't tell you why. It just failed. I used the same prompt when I made the video, and this didn't happen. So I was just I would just remind him, this is not the likeness of the reference character. Start again with more respect to the facial features and likeness of the model. And so while it does that, what we can do, sorry there, should have done that in a separate space. Okay, now of course it's gonna apologize, gonna tell you you're absolutely right, and you probably love hearing this. So in the meantime, while it's generating, and that's kind of, you know, this is a very scattered approach. Like this process is you get an idea, you put the prompt, and then you wait for the generation. But you don't want to wait, so you go to the next tool and you try to get a head start, and then you know you try not to get lost in that process. So as it's doing this, we're just gonna take the description of Michael, and there we go. Now it's really accurate, but it's just copy pasting the picture. So you see, this is the kind of troubleshooting you have to do on your own because we can't spend an hour on this, like not even getting through the introduction. So the many steps here, again, I keep talking about transformation, and in a perfect world where you have all the time in front of you, there's a lot of stages you want to go through, right? So we go from reference image to model description to photo shoot variations to style transfer. But you can add another one in the middle right before the style transfer, because once you get the right image, the ink is cool, but then you're like, he has the same pose. It's the same pose, like arms crossed looking at the camera. And that's a cool picture, but if that's been reused 1,000 times, then you're going to want to change the pose. So that's another step, another layer you can add to this. And that's really the kind of thinking I hope you leave here with. It's like it's the process of adding layers, and it's knowing what layers to add where. But here, if I want an extra level of customization, an extra level of creativity, I would think like, what would be a really cool pose for Fer to have? Maybe he's extended like this, super excited, and then I add another prompt for a style, a pause transfer. And so I wrote a few here, like just a guide of different poses you can use in your prompts to restyle. That's going to be in the PDF as well. Now you see here, we're getting a lot of the same shot. We get some good angles. So again, if I had time, I would just tell it like, hey, you know, add some variety here, actually recreate the picture. Don't just paste the model into, you know, a different background. It's as you use it, you're going to find different, like the right language. You love that smile, eh? So yeah, there's a certain language that you're going to start to see it understands better. Because when you just tell it like, make this, there's a lot of interpretations to what make means. But I'm not sure exactly how it works in the back end, but sometimes it will just literally take your asset and paste it somewhere else. So if you specify, hey, this is not what I'm asking for, you need to use the likeness of the model, but recreate a completely new picture in a different setting with the proper lighting and all of this stuff. Every time you face a problem, this becomes a sentence to add in your prompt. So now we're getting that stuff. We're getting a bit too intimate with our friend here. So I'm just going to lower this down. As I said, I already have, you know, the assets that I spent time refining. So just for the sake of showing you this, actually, when we're up for the style transfer, for this, we're going to keep the same pose, right? But you do get the point that you want to get variations for getting a nice shot. Get the pose you're going to want at the end, and then you do the style transfer. So the style transfer here, the prompt is very simple. You know, some prompts are better detailed. Some prompts are good enough if it's just a little blurb, and then you let the AI kind of fill the gaps creatively. Again, it's when you test and when you see your outputs, they're gonna get the idea for this. But in this case, what I would do, I'm just gonna stop this right now. See, we got a full body shot here if we ever needed, you know, more space for that. I'm just gonna start a new conversation because I want to stop that generation. And now we're gonna add this image here. So, you know, just imagine that was taking from the photo shoot and we had a really cool hero picture and we're like, this is the one. So we took this one. And now what we want to do, let's say we did that for Michael as well. So we're gonna get both of those in there. And this is where we do the style transfer. And now, once again, those prompts are written for single use. So read them, think of the task, the outcome you're looking for, and see if anything requires modification. In this case, it's just a simple mention. For both of these characters, do the following, create the following. Again, not a really refined prompt, just getting the style out there. And to be fair, one thing that you could add, the prompt itself, it should be detailed enough in terms of, it's the right keywords, right? Abstract ink art, flowing silhouette, dark and intricate. That should give everything you need for the AI to understand it. But if it doesn't get it, then you add another layer. So you add this as reference, and then you try to get it right with one shot. Once it got it right with one shot, you put your other models and you're like, all right, now in the same style, create varied poses for these models. Of course, if you go, you know, you pick the right pose for each model and you specify model 1 has this pose, model 2 has this pose, this actually works and it will give you better results. But you see, we're already getting something decent here. I would, again, in a perfect world, I would prompt it to have maybe a bit more of the body there. There's a little bit too much ink. But as you can see above, I had done a test and I deleted it, so never mind that. So now we're gonna get Michael in a second, and there it is. So, you know, for a first shot, like, to me, this is pretty good. Of course, I would love to have, like, I don't know, maybe some more ink somewhere there. Although we can always like create a separate shot of just ink overlays, and then you could use that in the editing as well. But I'm gonna try not to go on too many tangents here. The point is that we got both of our shots. The style has been transferred. And as you can see, whenever you start a new chat here, you get a new box where everything is draggable. So keep that in mind during your strategy. Sometimes I prefer keeping the same conversation just for the sake of the context. But sometimes I'm annoyed because you can't select where they go. So I'm not going to do this to you guys. Let's just go back there. And so then we'll do it the old school way. Just drag them back there. So now the style transfer is complete. Again, this is with a limited amount of assets, but ideally you do this with all the assets you know you're going to want in the video. And then that's when you can go do your storyboard. The storyboard can happen before if you have a clearer picture. Oh, sorry, I see a raised hand here. Is that, you have a question?
Yes, Lucas. I have a question. So, do you have any recommendations about the specs of the PC or laptop that can run the software smoothly?
Specs of the machine, you mean?
The personal computer or a laptop.
Yeah, that's a good question. Look, I'll say that most of these tools, you should be able to run them with a standard computer. I do have a little bit of a beefy machine that allows me to edit, but this would be doable even with a standard laptop. There are some tools that will require a lot more juice, but we're not going to be seeing those today.
Awesome.
So
yeah, thank you very much for that.
Where I was going with this is that in terms of the storyboard, if you have a very clear picture of your idea first, you can start the storyboard before, right? At the end of the day, a storyboard, the people in my field where I studied with, they might throw stones at me for saying it like this, but a storyboard can be anything. It can be sentences, it can be pictures. For me, a storyboard is really just getting a vision of the outcome. So I'm a very visual person. I need to get images here. So here, what I would do, I would start like part 1 of the storyboard. And for this specific process, when it comes to creating with AI, I kind of adapted the storyboard process for myself, and I kind of do it in 2 parts. The first part is the creative storyboard, and the second part is the technical storyboard. Realistically, this is the same thing. It just fulfills a different purpose. So the creative storyboard is what I'm doing right now. It's really just like lining up the images and getting an idea of how things should flow together. But when you create,
Jason,
yeah,
just a time check. We're like almost, it's 8:40 now, EST. So just,
right,
we're only on the first part, so just
yeah.
letting you know.
But to be fair, no, that's a good point. And thank you for checking this on me. I do have a habit of going on tangents, but the pre-production part of this process is the longest. It's really where you spend the most time. And that's really the metaphor of sharpening the axe, right? You spend 6 hours sharpening this, 2 hours chopping up the tree. That's exactly like what the process felt like here. I really drove myself crazy, spending like 5 hours just thinking and trying stuff. But the second I had the answers the way I wanted them, it was almost as easy as pressing a button. And I hate saying it like this because you need all the magic of creation, but this is where it happens really. So again, I'm gonna speed this up. The creative storyboard is really just that, the sequence of images you want to see in chronological order. And then the technical side of it is what you see here. Every shot, they're gonna need a specific tool, specific model. You're gonna need a specific prompt for it. In this case, fortunately, we're all using the same model, the same tool when it comes to the video generation. And that's going to be Kling, and that's going to be Kling with the start and end frame. So that's the model that has this feature here. Right now, it's just words and numbers. We're going to see the actual tool in a second, so don't worry about this. But then for every shot, I would just lay this out, right? Now, so what? Are we scheduled until 9 or?
No, 9:30.
9:30. Okay. Okay, that's fair. So I can actually go through the rest of the thing.
Yeah.
Because now we have some assets, right? One thing is missing in terms of recreating the speaker reveal video we've done. It was creating the text. So I like still to get on the storyboard first to have a general idea. Like, okay, this is, I'm gonna show Michael first, then Fur. Maybe Fur, I'll put them on the right. So I have Michael on the left. And I know that with the transition, and that's another side note, a tangent, but this is a really cool thing to realize when you start working with AI, especially with the start and end frame feature, is that you can be really creative with how you create transitions. In this case, with the style we have, with the floating ink style, we don't even need to brainstorm transitions, because just using the start to end frame, the AI has to understand that there's the character moving to the other side, and then there's ink animated. So naturally, just the way you set up the project is creating a very cool transition, just by having like the characters in opposite directions and then try to merge them together. So again, I'm saying there's a lot of back and forth. Now we started the storyboard, but we're going to go back creating the assets. And what we want to do basically is creating the text. So in the same ink style, again, I'm going to write this quick, spend some more time to develop this prompt. Create stylistic typography of the following text. And now we're going to need the speaker name and title. So we're going to go Fur Patel, AI Unleashed host. Let's do this. And so it's going to do this. As this is generating, we think of the next step, right? So then we have Michael Reimer. And then Michael Reimer is going to be the automation king. Let's go. Let's just make it fancy right there. So now it's generating with Nano Banana, and we're getting these assets. Again, we're not going to refine the text a lot. We're just going to try to get it as good as possible. So, this is good. I didn't even have to say this, but I did want the name to be fancy and then the title to be in regular text. If I didn't have that, then you know what you have to specify, right? Keep the ink bold style on the name, but then for the title, use a smaller font, sans serif, stuff like that. So I'm happy with this. Now let's do Michael in the same style. And again, I'm not gonna go try and find the asset wherever it is. And now, again, this is like cheaply made. This is just for my own reference. I'm trying to get an idea. This is where you build a vision in your mind, right? But you know you're going to refine this later. I know I'm repeating myself a lot, but really trying to drive this point home. It's really it's a very difficult balance between speed and care. So you try to get the idea out fast, but you then give them the care they need. So Michael Reimer, again, this is not really the same style. So I'm just letting it generate, but still I'm moving on as it's doing this and getting a better feel of how it's all going to look like. Now, while I have the general contents of what's going to be in the video, right? I have my speakers, maybe I have 11, maybe I have 3. One thing I don't have right now is a hook and a call to action. Now, I didn't actually add this in the process because everybody has a different process of how they structure videos. Me personally, I just wanted to get some stuff tested and I knew I wanted to do speaker reveal. It wasn't until everything was in my timeline that I figured out, oh, hey, I need a call to action. I need a hook. And then I started brainstorming about this. Now, this is perfect. We're going to use this instead. So as we're completing the storyboard, we can at least start thinking about this, right? Now, I'm not going to be super marketing-y direct response with a hook. We're just going to start. What is the introduction? Let's not create another one for this text. AI Unleashed presents. That's going to be our hook for now. You know, think of something fancier when you develop the project, but now we just want something to set the stage. So we'll say, make this one more stylized with more ink splatters texture in the background. Not too busy that the text is hard to read. And this is also blasphemy. I just did. You try to not use negative wording in your prompting and try to use positive wording instead. So instead of not too busy, just tell it, leave a lot of white space, leave it clean, leave it unobstructed. So while this generates, we're taking a look here, and now I'm realizing my decisions don't make sense because the host should be first. So, oh well, okay. By the way, Control Z on this tool actually undoes multiple things at once. So don't find that the hard way like me and try to just not use undo as much. Okay, so now this is pretty cool. Another mistake I've made, and I've been doing this since we started, is I did not specify the ratio I wanted. So this video, as you can see in the storyboard, this is in 16:9. If you don't specify the output, you're going to get what you get. But you don't necessarily have to reprompt it, although you can do this. I could literally tell it in 16:9. Sometimes it has a lot of issues with reframing. Sometimes it's just going to be perfect on the first go. But there's actually an easier way for this. Here you have a little toolbar. And in one of these tools, you have expand. So you click this, and then you go just select the ratio you're looking for. And then that's good. Now, this is going to be necessary, especially if you have a visual element that goes out of the frame. Because if it's cut, then you absolutely have to expand, or else if you just bring it in Canva over a 16:9 frame, you're going to see where it's cut. In this case, since there's nothing that's kind of touching the edges, we kind of don't even need to expand it here because we can just bring that straight into Canva or whatever image editing tool you use, and then just put that over a white canvas, export that back, and then you're good. So you see, this is absolutely awful, and there's no way I'm using this. So we're going to stick to the first one that's a little bit more stylized. And now, funnily, in this case, we do see that there are elements, or at least there's some texture that's going out of the frame. So this one, I do have to use the expand. And now I click the wrong. Anyways. So, okay, now you removed all of the ink I wanted. Now we're going to expand this one. I'm not going to have you sit you through 2 expansions at once. I'm just going to let this run. And we're actually going to go and bring some of our assets in Canva. So, right, you see, as I said at the start, this is a very scattered approach. Like we have steps in a chronological order, but really we're doing a bit of everything. So here I'm just gonna download our assets and hello. Okay. No, sorry. If you were disciplined, you did create your folder structure first. So that would go into the style transfers. The Photoshop variations would be the previous generation that we skipped, but the style transfers are the completed assets you've done here to be stitched up together. So now I'm just gonna open this. Okay, we see that's been done expanding, but I'm waiting on that one still. So we're just gonna go in Canva now. And oh, you can see I already did a test right before this, but we're gonna start it from scratch. And here we're just gonna upload all of our images like this. Oh, maybe not like this. All right. Well, that's a great example of the things that mess up just when we're live. They always work when you're by yourself. Okay, so I promise you this works in Canva, but for the sake of speed, I'm gonna do this in Photoshop because I'm just faster there. At the end of the day, you just need somewhere you can put images together. So here I'm gonna go back to the right format, bring that up. And here I have Michael text. Just gonna upload the rest here. Okay. So in Canva, you know, you have a little board for each. What I would do is just I drop them all in the same, duplicate, delete the ones that are not necessary. For now, we're gonna hide Fur and his text. We have Michael here. Okay. So now once you're there, again, this is specifically for like a speaker reveal video where you have a person and some text. But whenever you need to combine things together, you still want to use like a little bit of basic design principles. So I'm just gonna, fill up the white here. So I don't know those that are familiar with the rule of thirds or not, but this is basically a composition principle. Anytime you have a frame, it's separated in thirds, right? So you have the left third, you have the right third. Those are not staying. Okay. And then you have the upper third and the lower third. So you try to use that as a guide to place like your subjects. So we're gonna have the person here trying to leave a little bit of headroom, not have them too far over the first third, the top third, I mean. And then the name, we're just gonna try to have this a little bit centered. We're gonna remove the backgrounds, hoping that it doesn't take away from the ink. Now you see it kind of did. So something that's available both on Photoshop and Canva is the brush. So if you just need to do some simple refinements, it's actually simpler in Canva, but when you click edit an image, you can pick the brush and then remove some parts. So then we're just gonna get this up together. You see there is an actual cut that I can't do anything about it. So that I'm just gonna actually remove it. And then, voilà. So once you've done this, you actually have the real asset. This is what's going to be used for generating the video. So you just want to do this with all of the models. I'm going to do this real quick with Fur. And so let's just see again. Michael here is on the left. Just going to group them together. So of course, for variation, I'm going to put Fur on the other side. And you've probably seen in the speaker reveal video, it's mostly that, right? We go from left to right between most models, but at some point we add some variation. That's where Kiara is in like the middle of the video and the pose is more centered. And then that allows some variety as well. So depending on how many assets you have, you can be more or less varied. And then, oh, that's not the right. Hello. Okay, there we go. Now we have both. Let's say, you know, that was, 10 models. Now we have the bulk of our assets, what's going to make the majority of the video. And this is where you bring it to final images. Now, just once again, so you see the structure, it's the chronological progression of things. So style transfers are there, final images here. And then if you've already done your storyboard, you do yourself a favor and you title it with a number. So first is going to be the first person appearing, but it's going to be the second image because first we have the hook, right? So I'm just going to title this number 2. That way, hello. Okay. So what's happening? I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Damn it. I'm sorry. I was writing on the Zoom chat, very confused. And I still, all right. Is there something on Zoom triggering that I'm not seeing? Because my keyboard input is somewhere else right now. Okay, so you know what? We're just gonna save it like this. This is so ironic, but we can retitle it here. Okay, there we go, number 2. And then we go with good old Michael. I'm pretty sure you can guess how we're gonna title this one. If I'm allowed. There we go, number 2 entry. So now, let's just go back to Love Art to see the work is done. Excellent. So we'll consider this good to go, even though the background is darker than the usual white we have. I'm gonna say this is good to go. So we're gonna download this to use. And that goes already in the same folder as well. So that's gonna be the first shot. It's gonna be number 1. Oops. There we go. And then while we go and fix the rest, we actually need a CTA. So let's now do a call to action. It's gonna be join the intensive and then the website. And again, I did a big mistake, so I'm gonna stop it from generating and just specify, do this in 16:9. So, as I said, we try to get a head start on everything. We spent a whole hour on this damn canvas, but this, Alexa, stop. I'm sorry. So now you got most of what you needed. Ideally, you generated more than 2 images if you needed, but you see everything here in your storyboard. I'm gonna add this one here. Technically, you know, I would go and re-add the final assets that I made, blah, blah, blah. For the sake of speed, you still know what is the flow of things. So now that we have this. Oh, and this is what I was saying when I say it has issues with reframing. So it just gave me, you know, a 16:9 picture in a square format, which is pretty insulting, but you know, we gotta take what we can. So here, just for the sake of speed again, I'm just gonna crop this. What that's gonna do is that's gonna affect the resolution, the quality a lot. So what could be done there? Did you just delete my shit? I'm sorry for the language. That happens a lot using AI tools. Okay, it eventually gives you the right one. What I was gonna say is sometimes, you know, and if you generate a lot of stuff with the same model and you don't resend the reference image, you're gonna see like some artifacts. You're gonna see some low resolution. So if for any reason, which can be multiple, you start getting low resolution images, before you go and generate video, you want to maybe try to, to upscale it. So you have you have the upscale function here. When you press the HD button, you can decide how much to upscale it to. I would recommend against 8K though, because then it becomes too heavy for any of the video models to take in. So a lot of them are under 20 megabytes, but this is the kind of detail you need to figure out. So now, the long-awaited moment, my friends. I know I've rambled on for the past hour just telling you how to think about this and that, but at the end of the day, this is how you get some cool-looking shots that you can bring in our friend Kling. Kling is where the magic happens.
Jason, 9 o'clock. Just want to quickly check in with everyone here.
Yeah.
How are you liking this
You're
so
stopping
far?
right before the climax, man. But yeah, let's do some
You know
raised hands if needed.
I think we'll end it today. We're good, guys, and we'll continue next week now. No, so just check in.
It was nice.
If this has been useful so far, this is all the build up. So drop a 1 in the chat to make sure everyone's still active, engaged, and you haven't tuned us out yet. So if it's helpful for you,
That's
drop
a good
1.
point. I probably lost half of you there in my rambling.
We only got 3 people. 3 out of 26 people. Let's get a few more 1s in here to see if people are awake and engaging with us. All right. I got 5, 6. I'm gonna keep names. Okay, good.
Write them names.
Who didn't put a 1 down? You're not coming next time. Okay. So yeah. All right. It was a big build up. Now let's get to the exciting part where the video AI kicks in. Let's go.
Yep. And we're getting there. Once again, though, it's necessary, you know, like all that time spent in the preparation is less time spent here. So just so you see where I've gone, you have the video here. This is where you have fun. You see here, you have start, you have end. Those are the frames you use to generate the video. And that will open up your mind to 1,000 possibilities, but we're gonna stick to this just for the sake of it. Now there's different models here. If you want to use the start and end frame for this, you need video 2.1 because the newer model only accepts a start frame for now, which can be useful for other things. But for this, again, we have our folder structure, so everything is simple. So we're going to go in the final images. And basically, it's very simple, right? So you use the first image that's going to show and then the next one. That's your last frame. On the next video, the last frame becomes the first frame of the next shot. So now we start with the hook and then we go to, oh, did it unload? Okay, hold up.
So what software are we using here?
Oh, this is Kling.
Okay.
Right, I should have specified this. Yes, Kling. Kling is both a tool and a video model, which means in other video tools, you can use Kling as well. But now, you know, using Kling on Kling makes sense. So we're gonna go for this. You actually have Kling on Lovart right away as well. And technically I could tell it, take this and this as start and end frame. But since I have to rely on its understanding to make sure it gets there, that's what I meant earlier when I said if you want more granular control, it's gonna be better on different tools. So this is a good example here. And honestly, everything is set up so that I think honestly you could do it without a prompt, but just for the sake of consistency, we're literally going to reuse the same prompt that we use for the style transfer. So now we go back here. We have our first and last frame. Let's just make sure they're properly uploaded. Yes, that's good. And then that's it. So we're just going to generate. Here you can change the duration. Now this is a transition, so I don't need this to be more than 5 seconds. I'm actually going to need to speed this up in the editing afterwards. So this is the part where, you know, hopefully if you had some stuff to refine, you didn't just waste all your time doing it then, because now you have 2 minutes of generation to wait. So that's when, you know, you have your own little backlog of things you want to refine. So maybe I would have had, you know, I want to do a better hook there or something, then I would load it up. Sorry. You know, I spent so long making this PDF and it didn't even got used once, but at least you guys are going to get it after. Everything I've explained is going to be recapped there in the same order. And yeah, now I'm just filling the gap of that 1 minute remaining of the generation. But at this part in time, you know, put some good music because that's what making content is now. You know, you just do a lot of planning and then you wait and you wait and you hope that this button was the right one. I'm really trying to like meet the time here, but you know, then we actually got to bring this into an editing software and chop this up together. Like, what do we do there? Because yeah,
let's
okay.
see how far we get.
I can't go faster than Kling, but what I can do, hopefully you guys got used to this scattered and chaotic process for now. So if I keep jumping you left and right, you're still keeping track. So as this finishes, in any case, we're going to need to generate 2 other ones after. So I'm going to introduce you just to the editing. So look, editing, I do it on Premiere Pro. You can do it on Filmora, on CapCut, whatever has a timeline where you can put clips in order, that's fine. Like, that's really all you need is bringing those tools together. But I did download and test Filmora just, you know, to give you an accessible one. So this is free and it's honestly pretty decent. As an editor, it has most of what I think is necessary, and it's also quite simple to use. Now let's hear generation. So you see, that's not bad. That's not bad.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, so to me, that's good, at least for the sake of a presentation. Now we're going to go back to our folder structure, videos, and then give it the title, right? Shot one. This is the first shot. Now, the next shot. So we just flip this here. So we have Fur as the starting shot. Then we remove the last shot and we change this with Michael. Now we keep the same prompt. Just let it upload. Yes, I'm narrating every single step to fill these gaps. And oh man, and I'm gonna have. Oh no, I'm not even gonna have enough credits to finish. So I'm gonna need to do a top up. So Fur, you're gonna see a statement on your credit card after this webinar. But realistically, we don't. Oh yeah.
All right.
So to reduce the amount of credits you use, you can toggle not professional setting, but not for start and end frame. So, sorry for the wallet. My point with this here, where was I going with this? This is so scattered, I lost myself. Oh yes, sorry. We have a call to action now, but it's not in our folder. This is the discipline I was talking about. And again, yeah, okay, 4. Oh, Jesus. If you guys were able to follow this, you're gonna be able to create anything. If you can follow through this chaotic process, you will figure out the chaos of any tools. And yeah, I'm really gonna be skipping a lot here, but okay. Another tool you're gonna want to try real quick is Suno. We need to make music for this stuff, right? This should not be an afterthought, but in a race against the clock, I'm just gonna show you real quick. And this, I mean, at the end of the day, that's how you gotta do this. You're not gonna wait 5 minutes every time there's a video to generate if you gotta make 10 of them. So you need to order your workflow in a way that you can create stuff in parallel. So let's say for the
Just
music.
quick question before you
Yes.
start. Who's never heard of Suno or tried Suno? Drop a 1.
Or I'm sorry, I'm making so many assumptions here. Where's the
Okay.
chat?
Yeah,
So
actually,
one
there's a
is
few,
people
but
that heard of Suno.
never heard of it or they never tried it. So
Okay. Let me do a quick overview.
Yeah,
Or-
yeah. I subscribed to this like 30 days ago to throw up some AI Unleash music, and I created it in like 20 minutes. And I got hooked on it. I spent 4 hours playing with it, refining it. I wasted half my day because like, oh, maybe this beat, maybe this beat. But it's incredible what it can produce. You make one. I made one about my cat at one point. Here's a song about my cat. Just random. So yeah.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I kind of glossed over it, but all of these tools we use, that's life now. It's a thing that can make a cool thing when you send text to it. So this is the same thing, but for music instead of images. So I don't have like a super fancy prompt for this. Let's just do like trailer music. This is the cheapest prompt you'll ever see. Don't quote me on this. Trailer music, cyberpunk, hype style. Please never.
And just
write
as well,
prompt is awful.
yeah, just as well, if you want help building a prompt, you don't need to be a prompt genius. Go to ChatGPT, say, hey, I need a cool song. Can you help me create a prompt
Yes.
for Suno? It knows what Suno is. I need a prompt for Suno that is modeling around a specific style. It'll generate you a prompt. Like you don't need to be a prompt
Exactly.
engineer. I put zero effort in being a prompt engineer because ChatGPT can make it for you now. Don't even worry about that part.
Yeah. And that's a very good point. Like don't get tricked by these gurus telling you there's a special secret trick to prompting. Like, yes, there's a good prompt structure, but at the end of the day, they can tell you. I skip this step, but usually whenever I write a prompt, I will go brainstorm with ChatGPT. Not gonna do this right now, but I will give you access to it's gonna be in the PDF, but I did make a custom GPT for where is it? Where's the SFX architect? I'm sorry. Okay, I'm gonna find it, but after we're not gonna review this today, but sound effects is also something that I've generated for the video. So now for this, the prompts actually matter a bit more. So I did make a custom GPT for this that you can use. But yeah, the music is more important than sound design at this stage. So let's just go back to Suno, and I'll tell you, as first said, it's easy to get lost for hours in this stuff. It's cool, you try different stuff. When I do this on Suno, AI is getting pretty good, but there's still some fundamental pacing and progression and music rules that it doesn't follow always. But you'll usually be able to find a good 30 to 40-second segment that has this progression. When I say progression, what am I looking for? I'm looking for a beat drop and then a slow rise and then a final hit, right? So you have a beat drop for the hook, the video starts, it progresses, final hit on the call to action. If you can notice any pattern like this in the song, that's good to go. And then, you clip it up to the length you need. So here we'll just take a quick look. Yeah, that's fine.
Wait. Jason, unshare and reshare audio.
Right. Oh, and now everybody saw me download this in the final images. I see you looking at me, not respecting my own rules. Hold up. Okay, sharing sound. There we go. Okay. You hear this?
Yeah.
All right, it's getting loud, the drop, but just the general tone of it, to me, it's cool. It's hype. It's mysterious. So we're gonna do this. Let me just, okay, I'm gonna re-download it. All right, other assets. There we go. So that would be audio and SFX. Oh, okay, I did plan for this. Cool. So we got the music. Now we probably have our other video generated. There we go. Okay, so that's good enough. Again, if I were to nitpick, I would say this looks weird now because of the original image. We've had too many of these ink, patterns in the subject's face. So if you were doing this for proper project, you go back to the drawing board and you try to reprompt something and just have it less busy on the actual model, and then it's gonna look better. I would, if I were to spend a lot of time on this, I would do some cool splatters in the background and then remove everything from the facial features. That way you would kind of see the ink from the background merge into the other person, and all that would be cool. But it's only when you test it, right? Then you see it and you're like, it's missing something. Also, the middle kind of creates a weird other face of looks like someone, but not really. So good enough for this purpose. I would go and refine it with the time given. So again, videos. For the sake of speed, I'm not gonna go and top up credits and generate the last shot and then go and bring that all together. Right now, what we have is our videos in the right style with the right models, and then we have our music, and then we have somewhere to bring it into. So that's where we go to the, well, let's go back to this PDF now. This is where we go to the post-production phase and audio finishing and stuff. All right, it's there. You'll have all of this again in the PDF. And here I'm just showing you real quick the process of SFX. The reason why I didn't include this just in the flow of this presentation is because, I understand that's a lot of tools to subscribe to try and make stuff. I was reticent as well at first. Now I couldn't live without any of those. But the point is, the main tools you need to create this stuff is really LoveArt and Kling to get all the images in the video. Music, okay, it's cool just for the concept of I've generated all the assets and made something cool. But realistically, if you don't want to subscribe to all of these tools, there's a lot of good stock SFX available online, and same for music. But the actual process of creating sound effects, I'll just show you on Envato, which Envato is actually a good place for stock assets, but now they have all of this AI integrated. So you can generate all of these things. That's another way to use like Nano Banana or Make Video, but I use this for sound gen. So you give it a prompt. You see here, I put deep slow whoosh in space because I made a video where we're in space and there's movement. So I want a whoosh, but that has like that spatial reverb if you want. So I'm sorry, guys, I'm going so fast, but there's some nuggets I want to give you, so like just try to remember this. But one cool thing you can do for sound design, right? You need to be on your video first, but let me just bring some of those together real quick. So we're going to bring all of our assets here, all of them, the two of them. But okay, I'm sorry. I'm mixing the editing and another part of the process. But I'm teaching you what it feels like to edit with AI. That's really what it feels like. The time you complete an idea, have 5 new ones. But what I was going to say with this, you want to generate cool sound effects. You play the video and you make noises with your mouth. Literally. What do you hear? You play. No, for real. That's how a lot of Foley artists do it. And it's really cool to see the process. In movies, Wolverine like versus Deadpool, that's how it started. And you do this. That's the actual process. So you watch this and I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, okay, how do I translate that into words? Right? But a whoosh is an actual like sound effects filmmaking term. If you look for whooshes, you will find that. So a whoosh, a riser, this and that. I'm just giving you the thinking here, right? And then that's when you can use the SFX Architect GPT that I've made, and you're like, hey, I made a speaker reveal video where they transition into ink. Now there's some cool motion. I want a kind of whoosh that simulates the movement, but that also has some ink splatter. Right? So let's do that. Let's do a quick slow whoosh.
We're gonna use
with,
that word now. Whoosh.
with water
Whoosh.
drops to simulate the ink or whatever. Now, water drops, I'm probably not giving it the right keyword, but this, what's cool is the sound effects is very quick to generate. You see those bubbles already appear. And this is the most awful sound I've ever made. So I would go back to the drawing board. So that's something that could be better. That can be slowed down and less high pitch. But I'm still gonna go back to those that I. What?
It can be the that sounds like morphing sound going over.
Exactly. But well, here I do have all the sound effects that I generated for the previous speaker video where I actually spent time developing the prompts, and those are pretty good. So I don't use all of it, but there's a segment, right? Sometimes it's 1 or 2 seconds and it's good enough. You see, that's just the wind right there. Anyways, so a lot of cool stuff, you know, that took like 5 minutes to make them all and to filter. So, okay, 15 minutes left on the clock. Man, this is, you know, every part is the most important part, but this is where you actually like bring this to life. So that's also the most important part. But to get started with this, you do need the music. You know, I hate bringing the music as an afterthought because at least for me as an editor, this is often like, this is your orchestra. This is what directs the edit. Now this, and further, you know, this is the part that I was a little struggling with because I'm showing you guys how to make cool stuff with AI, but this is straight up like dirty editing work. Like there's no fancy AI for this. Like you got to go there and listen and clip this shit up, you know? So let's see. Probably just find a right segment here. You know, just the intro here is pretty cool. And it kind of builds up towards something. And then we can see that at the 10th second, there's kind of a drop. That's where I would, you know, do something like a pattern interrupt if I had it. But now it perfectly matches the current assets we have. So there's only one technique I'm going to show you here in terms of editing. All the rest is like secondary. But as long as you know how to import your clips, bring them in the right order. And again, I'm making a lot of assumptions here, but I assume you can figure this out, right? You import them, just drag them in the timeline. You can literally drag and drop. And then, you know, if you mess something up, just replace it. But now number 1 is at the first, number 2 is second, and then I have my track here. Now, I've did a lot of little things when I actually edited the speaker reveal video. A lot of things that, again, are secondary here, like adding overlays, like particle effects, and just things that bring it all together, like one cohesive overlay that acts for the whole video. That's extra. But one cool thing that really sold the video is that, you know, when I found the right selection of music and I had a clear hit at every sequence, let's say a sequence, how do you say measure in English? Anyways, you know, like every 4 beats, there's one drop, right? So that's when I would do a speed ramping, which is basically you adjust the speed of the video so that one part arrives faster. And that's why you see all the speakers transition on beat, right? They move with the music. And that's just with one technique called speed ramping. So speed ramping is, I think, is available in most editors. If you use CapCut, it's available there and even simpler because there's some templates. But basically, you listen to this and you try to identify, how do I want the motion to follow the music? And that sounds metaphorical, but that's very literal. Like you'll see. Okay, so you see, that's way too long, right? The times where transition to fur is actually too long. This is cool. We want to see a little bit of that, but then this has to happen fast. So the long version is I show you how to identify the music beats, put a marker, and then go there and make the thing faster exactly on the beat. The realistic version is I show you how to speed ramp, you figure out your timing. But the speed ramping, at least in Filmora, In any video editor, you're gonna find, you know, in somewhere you have a section that says speed. Maybe you know, it's when you right click the clip here, you'll see something, you know, you have speed as well here, but here in the interface is right there. What you want to do, you see these curves, basically, we really don't need to get intricate here. These curves represent the speed of the timeline. Now, if they're at ×1, it's just regular speed. So if you bring this up, it's faster. You bring it down, it's shorter. So really, all you want to do is to make it faster. Now, you see here the red line, which is what we call your playhead. This is what indicates where you are in the timeline. So when you go into the speed section, you need to have your clip selected for this. What you see here, you see the red bar that tells you where are you in this part. So now I know that I want maybe from there to go faster. So I'm going to take the middle node right there and bring it way up. Now we're just, oh, beautiful freeze frame. Sorry, I'm screenshotting this for later. Next time you bully me, bro. All right. Personal feud aside, let's check this. Okay, faster, a little, okay, save, yes, a little too fast. Now you see, this is ×6 times. Yeah, we'll bring it to like ×4. And now let's see. See, that's a little cooler. Now you want to smoothen it out. You can drag this, but now we're getting into the refinements. So overall, that's what it looks like. And then you do this for every shot, right? So here would be starting from there approximately. So same thing. That's what's cool though. In this type of video, you have to figure this out once, and then you kind of reapply the same principle to all of your assets. All right, so I just did the same kind of speed ramping for like all of the 11 shots, and then I link that back to the call to action, and that's that. Now you see, we have this cool motion going fast, then a slow motion. When we see the actual speaker, there's the motion of the texture of the ink behind, and it looks, you know, it's cool, it's immersive. Basically, as I said, what you want to do is do that for all of your assets. You have your hook, your call to action. As an editor, I always have a next thing. You know, if Fer didn't force me to stop, I would continue a video for an extra week. Alexa, stop. I don't know why she responds to me. I'm sorry. But yeah, I would add overlays. I would add particles. I would add film grain and all that stuff. You don't need to do all that, but I'll show you one cool thing that you can do with AI again to kind of bring a cool ending to the video. And this is what I've done with the speaker reveal that we've done. Well, you know what speaker reveal I'm talking about. Sorry, give me a
Jason, I think Alexa's just jealous of you playing with other AIs right now.
Yeah, don't say her name again.
Alexa.
Okay, stop it. She's listening, bro. All right. Okay, so what you see here. So here, that was the call to action used for the main video, and you've seen also the title, right? After that, I was like, well, is there another thing I can do to really like make this a home run, bring it all together? And I was like, well, okay, what if I could loop this video? And now it's so easy to create loopable videos. Before, you know, you needed to know what you're doing with editing. Now you just need the first shot, right? So I already had the hook and the call to action. I just figured, okay, let's take a part of our logo, create a stylistic version of it. Let me put that in 16:9, and let me go back to Kling, and I'm gonna use this as the first shot and my hook as the last frame. And now I'm gonna go do the same thing with the last shot. You get where I'm going? So then for the end of the video, I take the call to action, I bring it back to the logo, and what that does is that the video starts with the logo, transitions, does the thing, you know, the hook, the speakers, call to action, transitions back to the logo, and then the video loops back. So I wish I could actually just like show you the actual shots of this, which I believe I can. We still have, okay, 5 minutes. Let me do this. You see this? When you don't do the folder structure, you don't know where your stuff is. And then you got to look at all of it. And of course, it's not in SFX, text inked. So that's not it. Videos. Of course, it would be a video. You figure.
Jason, we got a question.
Yes, let me just finish this. I'm wrapping up this point. So you see, that was the call to action. Technically, the last image, the last shot of the video was this. because we go from speaker to call to action. But then I went and generated the logo stylized version, made another shot of this, and then do that for the call to action. Do the same thing for the hook, which is right there. That is not the hook. What are you doing? Oh no, it's gonna be on first face. There we go. Okay, that was before it. All right, just what is the question until I find this thing?
So it's the question: how long did it take you to make this video?
Oh, the entirety of it? Oh, I forgot there was a chat here. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't look at the chat. Whoosh is spelled avec the H after the W. Okay, how long did it take me to make this video? I mean, you want to say it for? Don't. If you can plan this properly, it will not take you the same time as it took me. Okay, keep in mind, everything I'm showing you here, I had to figure out on the go. So I think, as first said, I was editing another teaser and then I wasn't getting what I wanted. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to make this quick video fast and get fur off my back for a few days. And so it was 4 p.m. when I started this, and it was 8 a.m. when I sent it to him. So, you know, I almost gave up like 3 times throughout the project because I was like, you know, I shouldn't ruin my sleep for that. But to be like, it felt good on the other side of this, you know, it was like having a baby. And I've never had a baby, so I'm allowed to say this, but I was, you know, it's a lot of pain for a beautiful outcome. That's what I'm saying here. So
you
yeah,
delivered, man. You delivered. That was good.
thank you. So yeah, that little last thing, I just wanted to show you a little extra thing you can do to loop your videos. You can actually use this for any type of content, not just for the speaker reveal. It just fit really well here. But yeah, man, at the end of the day, it's layers. All of this started with like speakers, and then it turned into speakers inked, and then it turns with speakers with names, and you know, all of this stuff. So I wish I could have, you know, spent more time simplifying the editing part for you, but at the same time, it's better that I don't have more time to put more information in your mind. If you can just assemble, if you can get those clips and then assemble them together, I will clap for you, even if you don't edit any of it. So let me pause the screen right now. I'm gonna pause the sharing. I've overviewed the whole process and I've not given you guys any time for questions. So any questions that came out, go on.
I guess the first question is, what do you guys think? Because I learned a lot watching this video. I didn't realize I didn't understand the methodology that takes place. Because I was rushing him. I'm like, okay, come on, this love art part, speed up. It's taking a while now. But then I realized,
just do it fast.
Oh my God, yeah, don't worry about it. So this love art part, he took a long time to build it all up. But then the last part, okay, now I understand what you mean. Just get it all ready to go, and then that part goes like more systematically.
Yes.
Awesome. So any questions?
Love the chaos. I love hearing this. You know, that's kind of a quote I tell to myself. You got to embrace the chaos for this. That's really what it is. And it's sometimes it's so overwhelming mentally that I'm like, a few months ago, I didn't even want to try AI tools. All right. Especially from a filmmaking background. I was like, nah, you know, but also it was so overwhelming, so many different ways to create something. And so I was really afraid of the chaos, but embracing this chaos, it was, you know, it was a really cool experience because you discover a lot of things. You tap into other side of your own creativity, right? Because it's not until you're presented with possibilities and limitations that you see where your mind is going to go with this. And so embracing the chaos is how you go and find all this stuff, and then going back to order is what I'm trying to do here, right? Try to slap a process on it. But yes, as some of you might have felt, you know, that process isn't always straightforward or super clear. So I'm wondering if there's any sections, even if you like, if you have any questions about any part of the process, raise your hand. But even if you don't, I would actually really like to know from the perspective of someone seeing that from the first time, like, what are the parts that are feeling the most overwhelming to you? Was there a part you saw this and you were like, oh shit, like maybe I'm not doing this, you know? Or did you see this and you were like, oh, that's actually easier than I thought, you know? Like, well, what is your perspective on the step of the process?
No,
Not everybody at the same time, please. How did I plan the layout prep? Yeah, it's fine. I can read. Sorry.
You remember the chat's there now, right? The chat is there.
Well, I'm not presenting anymore, so my eyes are just on this. I don't have 5 tools in front of me. How did I plan the layout prep? What do you mean though? Do you mean the layout of the content of the video or the layout of what I showed to you guys? You can turn your mic on if you want. Right? You guys can unmute for this, by the way, for the questions. You don't have to just write. So Kiara, are you actually here or was that GPT sending those questions? I'm kidding. All the images. Oh,
I think
okay.
Kara wants to see her selection. Pull up Love Art, show all Kara's photo shoot that you did for her. Actually,
You
she
know
asked
what?
me
That's
for that.
fair.
I never followed up with you. Sorry, Kara. She wanted
I
the
told
images
you,
that you built for her.
Akeme, every speaker of ours will have a dedicated package. A cool photo
Don't
shoot.
tell them, don't tell them all the secrets right now.
So, well, then I shouldn't show it. What's your point? But I still need to clarify because I'm not sure if Gary, you're asking about like this layout, like this stuff.
Oh, it's Phil.
Oh, it's Phil. Oh, sorry, Phil. Okay, this part you mean? Okay, so I just planned this before hopping on this so that I had a structure to follow. If you found this chaotic now, imagine if I didn't make this up. Like everybody would have left the meeting like after 20 minutes. But this was just a big blank sheet. But what's cool with Love Art is that you have like some Figma-like abilities, so you can just create shapes and text. So I just use the rectangle to make the lines to create separations, and then I use text to break down the process. But when I'm not sharing this with someone, like this is what it looks like. It's just a bunch of stuff. There's just so much stuff. And you shouldn't do this like create one project per project. This is like the birth of 6 different projects here. But yeah, it was all like manually just setting up here the structure. The layout and what I use in standard editing video creation, then I have to add some sections that are not standard. So what do you mean by this though? Because when you say layout, I'm really thinking in terms of how things are placed. So if you're asking about the video, are you asking like how did I decide where to place the speakers and the text? Or are we still
So
talking about?
normally
Oh,
when
hello.
you do the video editing, hello, then you have a certain amount of this process laid out in standard formats, depending on the video that you have. But in this case, especially because you are introducing AI into the process and then trying to kind of like fit that into there, we saw kind of how you work with it, but is there any other advice that you have on how you kind of like fit that process into the planning and kind of keeping everything organized? Like I love the way that how you laid everything out. And, that it's a lot more cohesive than just 1,000 files scattered on top of each
Right.
other.
So are you asking if I use kind of my filmmaking background to apply the organization in AI-led projects? Yeah,
And how you might have had to add to that.
How to add to that? Well, yeah, that's a very good question, actually. And that's why I spent a lot of time just talking like, mindset, how to think about it at first. I would say, yes, my background in production like really helped me here because it really, I started not following it, by the way. I just started, dived right in and just, hey, let's make a video. And as I was halfway through it, I was like, hey, this is going to be impossible to complete this project because you see all the images here, but this is just one tool. Like I have just as many and like 3 other different tools. And then I remember I had one and I forgot where it was. And so I was like, all right, if you're going to do an actual production, doesn't matter if it's AI, go through, proper video production principles. And that's the best tip I have is just, actually maybe learning a little bit about what pre-production process is like. Because it's really, and again, you think this is ordered and it's just my internal chaos that forces me to over order this, but I'm not like, that's not how I work in general. I just can't present you with like a bunch of random stuff, but I'm very chaotic in my process. And I would say like allow yourself to be to a certain point, because when you have an idea and you want to get it out fast, you can kill your own inspiration by just being like, hey, folders and naming convention. But don't wait too long until you take a break and go and reorganize stuff. That's how I do. Like you look at my project when I start and it's a whole mess. And then after that, I realize the structure that's lacking and I add it. But in terms of like how to prepare yourself properly going into project with like proper filmmaking production principles, well, that's why I start with here, set the stage, right? get a very clear idea of your purpose, and then what style are you going to apply there, and then just keep that in front of your eyes the whole time. Prepare a proper folder structure and just take the extra time to, you could spend an entire day on love art just trying different styles, different images, until you have a good idea of what do you want the final outcome to be. And it's really just that. Like, I wish I could give you something more substantial, but it's always going to depend on the specific process, the specific project, right? Because there's another teaser I'm working on right now that I'm not using the start and end frame at all. So the way I structured a storyboard, I mean, it's going to be very similar, but it's also not really going to be the same in terms of the intricacies of how I want to line up certain things are going to manifest when I face those problems. You get what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, if you do a good job of pre-production, if you start with a script, then you turn that script into a storyboard, right? Use every line of the script and try to set it up in like on a horizontal line and try to see this as a timeline. And then under your sentences of the script, you try to see like, what should happen here? Is there a visual I want to see? Is there some movement I need? And that's when you do the technical storyboard. I really glossed over it fast here, but this is where you'd actually like take the time to try to figure out, answer all of your questions before you go into generating stuff. And the more you prepare up front, the easier your job is going to be later on. And then it's just finding the balance of like, okay, prepare enough, but then keep moving. And as you go through that chaos and play with different tools, then that's kind of the best skill I've developed here is knowing when knowing when to press generate so I can go work on something else while this generates, and then kind of saving your time here. So that's less of a creative advice, but the workflow is important because, even as an editor, I'll tell you this, before the world of AI, I can be, let's say, a very good editor, very good storyteller, but yet produce garbage video if the assets I need are hard to find. You get what I'm saying? So sometimes I would make a video that is really under my own standards because I just didn't have time to go and research the sound effects I needed for a proper, audio universe, to go find the right B-roll I needed to better represent the point that a client is communicating or stuff like that. But the day that I made like a quick pack of all the SFX that I usually use to make a cinematic build, well, then I was laughing because I was doing like beautiful work in 5 minutes, but just that difference of having what you need where you can find it, it will change the quality of your work more than your skills will. Don't quote me on that, but pretty close. Anyway, I hope that answers your question. Feel free to follow up with more. Just gonna move
that
on
was
to.
a great explanation. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Okay, Lonnie, you have a raised hand. I'm just gonna go to Mindy's questions first. I've edited videos, done Canva, Photoshop, edit, used AI, so putting it all together is intriguing. Seems doable. Okay, it's not a question. Just feedback.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Sorry, no question. Just feedback. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the feedback. I welcome those as well. And any of you creating anything out of this, like, please, I want to see this. I want to see it. And how do you have it already? But wait, I need to add stuff in there.
Oh, we're not giving them yet?
I mean, it's fine. It's fine. You already gave it. So I was gonna add like a few prompts and stuff, but it's fine. You guys can reach out. We'll see if you paid attention. You'll reach out for the missing pieces. I'm kidding. But look, just for your information, like this was not part of the initial process. I just came up with it like right before the presentation, but it could be useful. Anyways, if I add something there, I'll let you know. Okay, Lonnie, you've had your hand raised for a while. I'm sorry. Go on.
No worries. Thanks. This was great, by the way, and I think you and Fur could make a pretty good comedy duo if you really needed to, find something to do. I had two questions actually. Well, maybe just one. Could I do the same process just in Google? Going through with Nano Banana to their flow process for doing storyboards, and then into VO3. Have you ever done that? Or
yes, you could, but so you would have different controls, right? And also it would be much more expensive using VO. So Kling is actually a little less expensive in terms of credits.
okay.
VO is of course of higher quality, but VO currently it can only use a start frame. So you cannot put an end frame. So you can create really cool stuff even with that, but it's a different process, right? because the start and end frame feature from Kling is really what gives you absolute control in terms of the
Right, that
transition.
transition.
Exactly. You know, it starts and ends exactly how you want it. Now, what happens in the middle, it depends on your prompt. But with VO, the issue is that if you need it to end a specific way, you're SOL, you know, because you can just like give it a start frame. But so what
Yeah.
I would use VO for, it's like, because you don't always need to have a video that perfectly transitions into each other. You know, before AI, we used to have like jump cuts, right? And it's normal. Like you have a shot of B-roll, you have another shot of B-roll, and VO is great for this because if you just give it a reference, it's gonna like it's the highest quality video model of this. So for creating these kind of assets, it's gonna be great. Again, you just have less control. And if you use Nano Banana on like Gemini the chat, that's also good. You won't have like less customizability than in LoveArt, because as I said, in LoveArt you don't have that fine tuning. But let's say in other tools, like for example on Higgsfield, I don't want to dive too deep into this, but here if you use Nano Banana, you have much more room to play with, because let's say if I put this, you can do in painting. Now, in painting is an available feature in various tools, but with Nano Banana, when you can do it here, what you can do is, yeah, you paint this and you're like, hey, give Michael, I don't know, give him an afro. You know, I would just paint here and like, hey, give him an afro or stuff like that. So you can do that like in LoveArt or directly in chat in Gemini. But honestly, if those are the tools available to you, this is perfectly fine, because Nano Banana is pretty damn good. And if you prompt properly, you know, Gemini is smarter than it was when it had its Reddit breakdown 1 year ago. So you know, you're gonna get some decent results as well. Again, it's just less control, less fine tuning. But yes, it's possible.
The other thing, just really quick, I didn't quite catch where you caught the reference images for the ink smoke. Like, where did you dream that up, or how did you come across that idea?
Oh, that was another fellow creator. So I just follow so many AI pages that whenever I log into Instagram, there's like 1,000 of these styles, and it's like a buffet. And this is the part where, you know, as a creator, I kind of feel dirty saying this. Like, yeah, I ripped this style, but at the end of the day, you know, nothing is ever created from scratch. Like everything is a transformed idea of something else. So you know,
Yeah.
you see a cool billboard in the street, you take a picture of that, and that's your reference. You know.
Yeah, I
You were
can tell
inspired. You were inspired.
inspired.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Now,
That's great. Thank you. This has been really great. I appreciate you.
it's a pleasure, and I appreciate the questions. If you have any more, don't hesitate. But I just need to right now. Mackenzie said that we can now add a start and end frame in VO tree. Now, since when and like source? Because I've been looking for this like yesterday.
So
But that's
I was using VO3, and I didn't understand what that start and end frame thing was at first, and I was like, ooh, I could just put in what I want the person to look like. And it was funny. It was like I was trying to have like this muscle guy like looking at his wife or whatever, like and I put in this picture of him from a previous video I did where he was walking through Home Depot, and it ended up putting him and his wife with a coffee maker in Home Depot. It's pretty funny. But then there's also
really
the option to, at the end, an end frame. So I was like, wait, what is this? So I actually haven't done the end frame part. I just used the beginning frame to try and keep the same like look.
huh. Sorry for everybody seeing your Fury content. Oh, you're serious? And because this was visually, it was in the UI since I started using it, but they would always tell me not available for last frame. Oh my god! So Lonnie, everything I just told you doesn't mean shit. You can now do this with this. This is a game changer. Actually, I wasn't aware of this. Thank you, Mackenzie.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Fur, you have not seen this. Do not ask me to edit something tonight, but I absolutely will be playing with this. That's very cool. Well, so that's excellent information for absolutely everybody here. Everything you've seen with Kling is now available with Google VO, which
But
is
also
probably
you
going to
can't
be
do that. You can only do that in like individual videos. You can't add it to a scene yet. So that was the other thing I realized, is that you have a
right.
limitation with that. But I mean, you can still use before or
Yeah.
begin and
I mean,
to create
this is
individual
the same
videos.
limitation we're working with in Kling. So I'm okay with this. You know, we just have a more powerful model to do it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Mackenzie, for this input. Have you other findings I'm supposed to know about?
That was the only one
I'll
I
take
happened
them all.
across.
All right. Well, if anybody else that attended this that wants to teach me something, I'm always down to learn because I'm going to be with VO for the rest of the night, it appears.
All right, so we're at the tail end. If there's any other questions, you will drop them. Grab the PDF guide and bit of a housekeeping as well. If you like what we just did over here, this was a very rushed job. Like we quickly put it together. Imagine giving us a couple of months what we're going to release at the AI Unleash event in Cancun. Every speaker is going to be well framed, well structured, ready to go, hands on. This was pretty awesome in terms of him doing it. Now imagine we're doing it together, like we're doing it at the same time, how much you're going to learn as a workshop style. That's what our AI Cancun event's all about. So that's my quick housekeeping pitch to you. If you have questions, let me drop the link. I'm trying to entice you and excite you to come as well. Here we go.
Well, while he does that, I want to give a softer pitch. I think everybody here was at least in the GHL group. If anybody is not in the AI Unleash Facebook group, please get in there so you can get in touch with me. And then, Fer, can we do an exception to the rules of like, you know, the types of posts allowed? I want to allow like an admin approve, you know, anybody that creates something out of this, you post it, hashtag webinar homework, and then we're going to rate it, you know? Anybody that actually goes through the process of making something out of this, post that in the group and tag me. I'll, you know, whatever, I'll give you something. You want prompts, you want another tool like overview, whatever, I'll give you some extra time just for, you know, seeing how you took the time of taking this. Like, I want to see, you know, I was happy making this presentation, but if nobody's making videos out of that, I wasted your time. So here's the extra incentive. Everybody join the Facebook group. Drop that link as well if nobody's in there. And then anybody makes the content there, drop it in there, hashtag webinar homework. I will personally reach out to you, rate your video and see what it's missing, write it for you and give you. Now, if everybody goes and do a video, I just shot myself in the foot. But you know what? I did one all-nighter yesterday. I'll do another one. I'm ready for it.
Let me drop it down here.
Yes, sir. So can we get a raised hand or a 1 in the chat for everybody that's actually gonna take this and run with it and do a project? Okay, shout out Georgia, shout out Tracy, shout out Mindy.
Yes.
Okay, I'm giving it 3 shout outs out of 20. Come on, guys. Was it that scattered? It was that chaotic? Brain overdrive. You know what? I cannot blame you for this, my dear Georgia. This is acceptable. Okay, shout out Phil, shout out Lonnie, shout out Rafi, shout out Sydney, shout out everybody that's gonna make one. You will get a real personal shout out in the group. All right, I'm sounding like I have a megaphone. Can you stop me, please? Just
Hey Alexa.
Do you see her? She's actually, you see the line here? She's listening.
All right, so
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that. Patrick, shout out Patrick, shout out Jenna. All right.
All right,
Yeah, we
so
should do.
we
We should open a set. Like, hey guys, you like webinars? You want to do some sitcom? You know, some stand-up comedy next time. We'll go. Okay, never mind. Never mind.
So I dropped the Facebook group, and that's kind of the AI focused group. It's unrelated to high level. It just really just AI in general, cool tricks around AI for businesses. I'm trying to separate the two, so it's not just hey, we're only talking about AI because in high low because people might not be interested there. This is more about cool prompts, video prompts, different tools, how it can help you in your business itself. So that's the AI group that we just launched it about 2 weeks ago, I think. We have like 450 people in the group already. Now we're going to get some little more organized structure. Every day we have different things we want to do. The whole idea is to make AI easy, but the whole goal as well is not about you learning AI for the sake of learning AI. You can keep learning. Who cares? It's all about
now.
How can you take what you're learning and actually turn it into something tangible where you can do something to generate revenue. We want the AI learning you're doing to become a revenue generating activity. So these are the type of tools we're trying to put in place right now because too many people spend too much time learning and not enough time doing. So this is what we're trying to help kind of restructure a few things that help people out along the way. So that's kind of the goal of what we're trying to do. So if everyone, whoever enjoyed this over here, you know, what we would appreciate if you could just kind of give us a shout out in the community, wherever you are, like take a screenshot, you know, fantastic training, so you can get suck more people into our training, so I can pitch them on the AI Unleashed event. You know, that's my diabolical plan. But overall, this is pure value we're giving you over here. There's nothing that we, you know, we're not pitching you anything except a great time in Cancun and great learning. But that's kind of what we're doing over here. This, you know, we're not salespeople in this way. We just want to give value back overall because we had a lot of people who love the video. That's why we put this together. Other people told us we could have gated the training, charge, you know, even like $27 or put it within our private community. Like, no, let's just give it to everyone. People like it, they'll like it, and you know, it'll benefit them. We'll figure it out from there. We don't need to monetize every little thing here. So this is what we're trying to do. Just give back as a whole and just take a screenshot or put a shout out to Jason for putting this together because he's quickly, like it was literally, I dropped it on him a couple of days ago. Jason, when you do webinar, quickly put something together. People keep asking, let's go. So we put it together over there, and that's kind of where we're at. So
yeah.
And look, you know, we got the 25
Sorry.
people. We're still at 22. So that's awesome. We didn't lose people.
Yeah.
So grab the PDF
Oh, that's
guide.
wrong. You guys are warriors. You stayed the whole time, the whole ramble. Even Fur doesn't listen to me this long. I'm proud of you guys. All right. I just want to add to some stuff you said about the Facebook group, right? I'm not the one pitching here, so you can trust what I'm saying. I'm kidding. Look, currently the Facebook group is as chaotic as how I started my process, but we're currently bringing as much order as you've seen on the canvas. So one thing that I'm personally gonna, you know, commit to is like the deep dives into those mini tools. And the purpose of this is to save you the overwhelm or the credit card commitment to try all these AI tools to see if they're good for you. And I'm gonna try to do at least once a week, maybe 2 a week, a tool spotlight, a tool that I did try myself, that I put my credit card on, the first credit card on, and that I actually use for a specific purpose, and then giving you a breakdown of, is it worth your time? What should you use it for? And, you know, I want to keep creating more stuff that's usable. You leverage, you know, you can leverage for various stuff like this. This stuff here was actually fun to make, but for that, I need some back and forth, you know? So if you're actually working on some stuff or you want to work on some more stuff, like don't just come in the group and, you know, say, what's up? Like come and ask questions, come and ask for a training on this, prompts on that. Like we're actually at the stage where we have to create them to gain your trust. So like take advantage of this, because that's a lot of extra time that I'm dedicating just for creating some of these, you know, training guides, prompts, whatever you do, whatever tool you need, either me, Fur, or Michael, we probably have a crazy process for it, and we'd be happy to give it away. So come in the group, let's have some fun, make some noise, and create some cool shit. That's all I have to say.
I think we'll end it at that. I don't think I can end it off any better, except saying, hey, Alexa, but that's pretty much it. All right, everyone. See you next time. Just put some screenshots, share it in the community.
Yeah.
We're every 2 weeks, we're having webinars as a whole. So we're eventually going to have a landing page ready to go so you can subscribe. We're going to have different speakers. We're just trying to figure out, we're just trying to get over the level up hump that's coming up right now. So it's kind of throwing all our scheduling and our speakers in chaos. So next week, I think we'll be out of whack, but the week after, we're gonna have different speakers talking about different things that will help you in revenue generating activities. That's our goal, because we all waste time learning. I call it wasting. You can say investing time. You're wasting time if you're not able to turn that into a revenue generating activity. This is what we're trying to get people out of that mindset. So this is what we're looking at right now. So thank you very much. The recording, after it gets downloaded, we're going to put it on YouTube, and I'll share the link in the AI Unleashed for Entrepreneurs group. What's that?
No, because you said YouTube. Did you mean like unlisted for the group?
I don't know. I didn't think that far yet.
Gate it to the
Publicly,
group.
no?
It's free, but at least gate it to the group. Come on, man. It's free,
We'll
but
see,
you
we'll
guys gotta
see.
jam with us, you know?
All right. We'll see. We'll see which one what I click on. I don't know yet. We'll decide.
All right, whatever.
We'll decide last minute.
I delivered.
Okay.
Now you own my asset. You do whatever you want with it.
So we'll upload it tomorrow, and we'll share it again, because I think a lot of people want to go through this, maybe slow it down a little bit, go through different steps, you know, to
That's
understand it again and watch
Fast
it again.
forward some
So,
rants.
but worst case scenario for anyone you understand what it takes to build a video now, you can hire someone and tell them, hey, I want you to speed ramp this section. I love that word, and add some whooshes to it. So we're all good to go. All right, everyone. Have a good night.
Got
Bye-bye.
that new vocabulary straight up.
Take care.
All right, thank you, everyone.